All right, we're back. Episode 7 of the Ghost Files. I got a great guest on hand today, Elle Prendergast. Thanks for coming on. Would you like to introduce yourself to the people at home?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Dan. My name's Elle Prendergast, class clown, comedic genius. So pretty much the whole package. Yeah,
Yeah, the whole deal.
yeah.
Um, so usually, to start off, we talk about senior year, obviously, class of 2021 repping. So, how has this year been for you so far?
It hasn't been great. I've been doing dual enrollment instead of just going to Westford Academy. So I've been doing all my courses online, but it's not great, but it's not the worst.
Yeah. I mean that's interesting. I haven't really looked into dual enrollment. Do you want to like kind of explain what that's all about?
Yeah, sure. So I'm taking all my courses at Middlesex instead of taking any courses at WA. Like I'm still enrolled at WA. I'll still graduate with WA. I can go in at any point and just walk around if I really wanted to. But I'm just taking courses that are through Middlesex instead.
Is it dope? I kind of forgot that was a thing until
Yeah.
obviously our class started doing it. Um, let's see. All right. I think it froze for a second, but we're good now. So is obviously this year is kind of unorthodox and not normal as you kind of touched. It's like not great, but has there been any like bright spots this year? Like stuff that has kind of been good in the year of bad.
Yeah. So um, the summer was really good. I got to see my friends a good amount, even with like the pandemic. We still got to see each other a fair amount, so that was good. I've been working a lot. I work Dunkin' Donuts with Evan and Cordelia, and during the day I'll just work there. So it's nice having a steady paycheck. Um, that's pretty much it, though.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you gotta work for that money. It's a
Yeah,
a
exactly.
good hustle. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, we took some time to talk about senior year. Now let's look into the future a little bit. Obviously college and our futures are kind of on the horizon here. Have you like kind of mapped that out for yourself? Do you have any like ideas what you want to do for the next four or anything like that?
Yes, I got into like a good amount of schools so far. I've got into Alabama, LSU, USC, West Virginia, and Coastal Carolina. And I went to visit West Virginia during December break, and I really loved the campus. It was a beautiful campus, and it was like snowing. It was so cool. The drive up was crazy.
That's awesome. Those are all like pretty far away schools. Is that was that kind of like a key factor for you, maybe?
Yeah. So my brother goes to one of the to Alabama, and seeing like the Big Ten, Alabama's Big Ten, right?
SEC, but
SEC, but like those schools, and like even just last night, seeing the footage of them at the after the championship game, it like seems so cool. And all the Southern schools, they all seem to have that like energy around them where it's just like a big party scene. So that sounds like fun.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, more the merrier. And yeah, like you said, SEC, Big Ten, both like the same vibe where, the bigger the sports, the bigger the party in a way where it draws more hype. Which is something I'm all about, and I totally respect in college decisions. So you've gotten to a few colleges, you listed a few, but what's like a area of interest for your major that you would want to pursue at these colleges that you might go to?
Definitely business, like more business related. I got into USC's business school, which was pretty cool. And at West Virginia, wanted to do sports marketing and
Oh,
advertising at any other school that I went to. But it like seeing sports management and like getting up close and personal with all the athletes. there is gonna it's gonna be so cool and just like a really cool experience to see like what their days are like and
Yeah.
stuff like
No,
that.
100%. I mean, that's definitely like not your ordinary job. I mean, when you say business, it could definitely be like people immediately think like, oh, cubicle 9 to 5, but then you brought up like, being on the field near these athletes, kind of like a very cool like opportunity. Was is that has this always been like kind of a major or interest that you've wanted to go into, or has it been just like something you kind of figured out as of late?
Not really. I've always been like super indecisive, and ever since I was little, like the jobs that I've wanted have always changed. But I don't think I'm better at more aspects in business rather than like psychology or uh, anything like that.
Gotcha. Is there like a certain dream job that would like you really want? Like I know you talked about like being near athletes. Is there something like specific in the sports world, like sports business world?
Um, Not really. Just like the whole like team part and like being part of a team and everybody's just so energetic in that field and like loves what they do and I just want to be a part of that and it just seems like such a cool thing to be a part of.
Definitely. 100%.
How,
I,
what's your like thing on journalism? What draws you to that?
oh, flip the script on me.
Yeah.
Let me think. Well, kind of like it's actually very similar to you where you get so close to the action and like it's the like these jobs in sports is kind of like the closest you can get to the sports world without obviously being an athlete. Um, and it's just kind of something that like once I saw it was like, oh wait, you can actually do this for a job. Like I was kind of hooked because it didn't like most of the aspects to me didn't feel like a job. It just felt like I mean, some stuff I do as a hobby already. So it was just like kind of just the right path for me in a way.
Yeah, that's cool.
I appreciate the question.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
um, all right. So we talked college. But the next 4 years is going to be more than just college in a way. So is there anything like on your list of your made up list in a way, I guess, that besides college and besides school is like there's something that you want to like do like a hobby or an interest that you want to take these next 4 years to maybe go after?
Um, like I'm not super motivated right now, but like definitely fitness.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I want to really get into fitness and like have a steady plan and actually like go after it and be motivated to do something like that.
same. I definitely agree with that. I feel like once I once I get to college and the gym membership's free instead of having to bring my car out to Millworks, is definitely probably some better motivation there. Hopefully,
Yeah, exactly.
um, I'm not trying to get that freshman 15 just like 2 months in. So
Yeah.
that's fitness is definitely up there for a lot of people. Um, so we talked about maybe future hobbies. Is there any hobbies right now that you're really into?
Um, right this second, it's like I'm just stuck in a routine every day, so I haven't like allowed myself to go and do something else, which is
That's true.
very upsetting.
I
Like I
mean,
should go and do
it's
something.
kind of because of the pandemic in a way. So it's not like a lot of people are kind of stuck in Groundhog Day in a way. We're just doing the same thing. But
Right, exactly.
if if you weren't in this pandemic, what do you think? Like any sports, any hobbies that you'd go do?
Um, well, I played club lacrosse for like all of my life, and um, it wasn't directly due to the pandemic, but a lot of it was due to the pandemic that I didn't get to go pursue like D1 college or D1 lacrosse. in college, so I would probably be like working on that, going to visit colleges, or probably even be committed by now. And I would probably still be working on that, working actively to get a better scholarship and keep my place on the team. But not everything works out the way it is, or the way
Yeah.
it's supposed to be.
I mean, yeah, that's tough. Obviously, lacrosse season last year got canceled. This year's still up in the air, but it's definitely kind of shows that even, at a young age that we are at, um, the pandemic definitely like threw life kind of upside down in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And, for better or for worse, you kind of just have to roll with the punches. And like you said, you're still getting into all these like dope schools, even when you thought you were gonna maybe pursue lax, which obviously, one, if someone didn't eat a bat in China, your whole life would be different right now, which is crazy to say, but
Yeah, I think about that all the time.
definitely. Um, so you mentioned playing lacrosse for a very long time. At, at what point was this like, this is my sport, like this is what I like love to do?
I actually like vividly remember when that happened. It was in like eighth grade. It was the last game of the season, and we were playing this like crazy good team, and all of these girls are like 5'10", and we're all 5'2", and we're completely outnumbered with subs, and we ended up losing 13-2. And I was walking off the field, and I was talking with my mom, and the only thing I said, I was like, without me, it would have been 21-2 because I had stopped 8 or something, and I was like, oh, I'm actually pretty good at this. I like this.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because like I feel like those stories of like where it all started, it's someone like, like getting a victory maybe, but like you found that in a loss, which is very very unique in a way. And like who knew like a blowout loss in middle school would like lead you to finding your true sport.
Yeah, and it was really cool to like look back at that and be like, wow, that's like where it really started, where I wanted to get serious about it.
Yeah, totally. Unfortunately, I never really had any of those moments. It was more just me dribbling the ball off my foot and it goes out of bounds in basketball and realizing, oh, maybe I'm not that too good at basketball. So kind of the opposite, but sort of the same. Um,
Yeah,
so as we said, lacrosse, your passion, sports wise in a way. Has there anything you've learned from lacrosse over the years that, and I ask most athletes this when they come on, have you learned anything from lacrosse that you kind of take with you outside of lacrosse, like in school and life and stuff like that?
definitely like finding out that I'm like really hard on myself with things that I want to get good at, which caused me to want to just give up entirely and just say, never mind, I'm not going to do this anymore. But um, it's definitely shown me how frustrated I can get with myself and how I take everything out on myself rather than the defense or anything that symbolically means defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Self-doubt is like definitely something I can relate with too. Like it sometimes, even like if you're not involved in the situation, it can feel like everything's crumbling down on you and like you're the reason this is happening or that is happening, even though it's not like that. Because I don't know, just I don't know if it's a teenage thing or like just how our brain operates. We just like to kind of like get down on ourselves sometimes for no reason. And
Mm-hmm.
definitely growing up, like you said, how you learn from lacrosse, it's like, oh, like this is kind of like there's more factors to it. It's like sometimes it's out of my control and you kind of just have to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely can relate to that totally. Let's see here. Uh, let's dive back into school in a way, unfortunately. Uh, so as you said, you're doing dual enrollment this year, and then obviously you've been at WA for the past three, well, almost 4. Uh, how do you think you've grown from freshman year, first day to up to now?
I think I've changed a lot since freshman year. I think I've become a lot more mature, which isn't a lot because I used to be very immature, but now I'm at least a little bit more mature. And I think I've definitely gotten more independent. But at the same time, I've definitely relied on other things to keep me like, focused on what I'm doing, which they're not great, but that's just how it's gone far.
Yeah. Um, I think everyone can agree that definitely maturing is definitely like the number one thing high school kind of offers in a way. Like obviously not everyone matures. That's just kind of like the way life works. Like some people stay the same, some people change for the worse or the better. Um, and I
Yeah,
definitely agree with kind of being more independent because obviously there's like so many more like jobs we have to do rather than just school. Like middle school, I like all we cared about was what grade we got in language arts, and now we got college on the horizon. We got our grades now. We got our literal jobs, like working at like dunks in your situation. So like adding that much to your plate kind of like makes you more of your own person rather than relying on maybe parents or like other people.
yeah, definitely.
Let's see here. I'm looking at my list of questions. Hmm. Oh, here we go. Favorite high school memory.
Um, I feel like a broken record, but it has to be something from like freshman year and being on varsity. Like just the feeling of playing in a varsity game, it's unbeatable. Like and just feeling so important, being the goalie for a varsity team against you know Concord Carlisle, which is one of the best teams in the division. But yeah, definitely it had to be one of like our hardest teams, like Wayland, like coming off of that game and just like knowing that it could have been so many more goals in the net without me is just like a good feeling. Even though I'm still hard on myself about it, it's just such a good feeling coming off the field and like thinking everybody sticks and everybody saying good job. And yeah,
Yeah, 100%. I think being in a team atmosphere, like kind of like how we said with jobs in sports and obviously playing sports, uh, but being in a team atmosphere is like hard to top. Like when if you do something like you said, where obviously you had a great game in net and you get your teammates start hyping you up, and you start getting hype on the sidelines and stuff like that. Um, I vividly remember like JV volleyball. Like we played Newton South, and we were down like I don't know, we were down 8, and I had the serve, and I hit like 9 in a row. It's like it's my only athletic accomplishment in my life that like I'll bring up and be like, yeah, I did that, and it was just like it's just ingrained in my brain forever because it was just like that hype, like my teammates and just everything like that. So definitely a relatable message that for anyone that plays sports.
yeah, definitely like you're rightfully proud of that though. That's such a big accomplishment. Like, but it's just so exciting feeling
Yeah,
something like that.
it's like I mean it's JV volleyball. It's like none of these games matter, but at the same time, it's like yeah, I just did that. Like I'm hyped,
Yeah,
and you're just proud of yourself. Totally. Um, let's see. Going off script here, going off my list. I talked to I talked to Nate today. He was like, or no, I was like, so I'm interviewing Ellie today. He's like, oh, that's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be a goofy one. I'm like, a goofy one. He's like, and he's gonna be like, oh, just wait. Um, and kind of like you said in the beginning, you mentioned class clown. So where do you think your personality kind of morphed into being this kind of like free going, uh like laugh like class clown personality?
I think it came from my dad. Me and my sister scary. Like if I'm talking to my mom in one room and say thing, and then he's from another room, the exact same thing that I said. Like it happens constantly, or we'll just be like, "Oh, I was just thinking that," and stuff like that. I actually like wrote a big chunk of my college essay on how much our relationship like means to me, because we're just so close, and it's weird how much a person can be like you.
Yeah, I'm totally. Um, I feel like those like kind of traits that you see, like obviously you said like from your dad, um, like the parent to like children connection is kind of like uncanny sometimes, where like literally like people walk up to me and it's like you look so much like your mom, and it's like, well, I'm a dude, so that's kind of weird to say, but thanks, I guess. And like you said, obviously not physical traits, like
Yeah.
you guys get the same personality traits where you guys think the same thing and react to the same thing. um but I think growing up it's kind of tough to it's tough sometimes to be kind of like this like loose free going cracking jokes kind of person, obviously with kind of just the nature of high school and stuff. So how do you approach like just being yourself in like the social scene, at least growing up?
Um, I've definitely learned that this is corny and like cheesy and stupid, but people gravitate towards happiness, and it's so obvious. And if you're just your happy self, or whoever you are, but whatever makes you happy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
Okay. Um, but we're gonna come and like want to be around you the more happy you are, and it's so obvious. So I don't know. It's just so much easier to be happier than to be upset all the time and a miserable person.
Yeah. I feel like that's definitely a true statement, and that was a good way to word it, where like the life of the party is always the person who's like, you know, going out on the dance floor by themselves and dancing and just having a good time. And you know, when you're having a conversation, it's always the person that smiles first who kind of like makes the conversation. So just like you said, the happiness kind of like draws people in and makes people more comfortable. Definitely. I can
Yeah.
definitely agree with that.
And I've been known to bust a move every once in a while. So
Watch out, everybody. That could be dangerous. um, let's see here. Uh, what's okay? So we asked favorite memory from high school. What do you think your biggest regret from high school is?
not expanding out of my circle earlier, definitely. And like reaching out to people that I get along with a lot, or have the like same energy as me, and laugh at the same jokes as me and stuff like that. Um, but also I think worry too much about what other people think. I definitely was more insecure like freshman year than I am now, just because of I relied so heavily on what other people thought of me. But I've definitely like it comes with maturity. I just don't care as much as I used to.
Yeah. No. I mean, I feel like after you say something every time, I either say 100% or totally. So I gotta think of some new words to say. But once again, I totally agree. Like you mentioned, growing out of that kind of like comfort zone socially is definitely something that's tough, like as an underclassman. But like as you go further as a junior and senior, you kind of realize like, oh, like it doesn't matter really what like these people think, so I'm just gonna do me. um I've touched on this in like other episodes where like in middle school, you're like your personality trait is basically based off like who you hang out with. Like
Yeah.
you really don't know your true self yet. Um, and I think people get lost in that because they care what their friends do rather than what they do.
Mhm.
And as we grow, like I said, once you get in the junior and senior year, it's like, nah, I'm just gonna be myself, and that's just like showing the maturity increasing as we go along.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it was at Stony Brook, but Blanchard was just one big popularity contest. And
Oh yeah,
as
totally,
frustrating as that was, it's a life lesson for sure.
100%. I mean, it's just the cliche of like, or the stereotype of just like who's sitting at your lunch table, like who you're sitting with. It's like a it's like a food chain of popularity basically.
Yeah.
And at the time, and that now, like I feel like our class is pretty good with everyone talking to each other for the most part, and just like no, there's no like real cliques. Like obviously there's people who hang out with specific people, but it's not like there's walls put up in between everybody, which is like good to see.
Right, exactly.
Definitely.
It's definitely harder to like get past that now though, with pod A and pod B and being split up and not being able to meet new people in your classes or whatever. Like that was a big part of the year. Like you got really close to whoever was in your classes, and we just don't really have that this year, which is upsetting, but it is what it is. Again.
Oh yeah. I mean, like my marine bio class has like four people in it, so it's like, all right, I don't know really how to, you know, talk to people here. Like I know one person, the rest of them are like underclassmen, so it's like, oh, this is fun. Rather than having like a 25-person class, it's basically just a small circle, which is definitely fun. No
Yeah, it's
sarcasm
so
there.
crazy.
Yeah. Um, I definitely miss out on all the Pod B people because it's like it's kind of like the way the schedule works. It's like you'll never ever see them unless I don't know you bump into each other one day just outside of school, which is
Yeah.
tough.
Honestly, I miss school in general. Like I've had so many people ask me if I regret doing dual enrollment, and I think the answer is yes. Like
Really?
yeah, the I know everybody says like you really don't get that much social interaction with the people in your grade or even anybody, but there's a huge difference between none and some. Like, and I'm really missing out on like that some part. Not to like have a pity party myself, but it's just annoying during the weeks and when I don't get to see my friends or people I haven't seen since March. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like probably what I'd say for like my biggest regret is like you don't realize the social aspect of school until like you're out of it in a way. And I think that's what like quarantine started for like kind of showed for me where it's like, damn, I'm missing everybody right now, even like the kids that like I talked to once in my math class. Like I miss those kids. Like the kids I barely know, I even miss them. And yeah, like once it's taken away from you, you realize like, oh, like that was kind of like a big part of like how I enjoyed school and stuff.
Yeah,
All right,
definitely.
definitely. Um, all right. So we're gonna hit you with the final big question here. Um, for we always end out our show with what advice you'd give to a freshman coming into WA from your experience.
Um, it's definitely easier said than done, but don't care about other people's opinions. It literally doesn't matter. It has no effect on what your year is going to be like. And once you realize that, everything is so much easier. Not like school wise, but social wise, it's so much easier. And you're gonna find people that want to be around you just because you're being yourself and not being a fake person.
Definitely. I definitely retweet that statement right there. Um, there's definitely a lot of like kind of people being fake to fit in the people or fit in with people. As like freshman year goes on, and then you realize whether it's through a sport or a club, you're like, oh, this is who I should be hanging out with. Like these are like my true friends. And I just some people it just takes time to realize that. And that's definitely something that I realized like that I wish I knew as a freshman as well. Like I always thought like, oh, I should try to talk to these people because like they're more popular in middle school and even freshman year. And then eventually it's like who cares? Like I have my friends from volleyball, I have my friends from outside of school. Like like either either I talk to them or I don't, and it doesn't matter who I talk to because it's my decision.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. All right. So I don't know how long this was, but I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I appreciate you for coming on, Ellie.
Thank you so much for having me, Dan.
Anytime. No no problem. So what was this, episode 7? It's a wrap on episode 7 of the Ghost Files. I'm Dan Allison, and thanks for listening.